Welcome to Grumpy Old Avatars with your hosts, Malvin's Writer, Deuce and Dragonash, and Slim Warrior.
Well, hello everybody. Good morning, afternoon, evening, or even tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And welcome back to the indescribable show we call a Grumpy Old Avatars, our regular Friday wind down. The working week is over, and we decide to get grumpy about everything that's happened over the past week, or maybe the past month, or maybe the past year. You never know with us. So, we're without Dragonash tonight, although she may be popping in later. Something to do with an airport. Enough said about that, the better, I think. Well, I am joined, of course, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Slim Warrior. Hi, Slimmy.
Hello.
Very subdued, ominous-sounding Slimmy there. I wonder what she's got in store for us. But meanwhile, we have two wonderful guests with us, and in fact, they both know each other. Jonas Winterwolf is a well-known DJ in Second Life, but he is also one of the sports commentators on the Second Life Football League. Well, it's SFL, I hope I've got that right. And we're also joined by his fellow commentator, Xavier Ruska. So, hi, guys.
Hey.
Right, one of you, I don't think is one.
I'm not hearing Jonas.
Yeah, one of you is muted on Skype, I think.
There we go. Just a little technical problem.
Thank you, Janos. We're all here.
Something else to be grumpy about.
Indeed it is. Technical glitches, actually. I mean, we don't moan about the technical glitches on air very often. Maybe we should, because I'm sure you've experienced these kind of things, both of you. As indeed Slimmy probably has too. We can grump about the technical
don't get me started.
hurdles involved in broadcasting.
What about the technical day from hell we had just last week?
Which one was that?
Well, okay, so we had more than a couple. We had problems with the field. We had problems with the stream. We had problems with Sam. Nobody could stay on SL.
Oh, I think we even had problems
day?
with SL at some point as well. Thank you, Linden Labs.
That's like sod's law. If anything can go wrong, it will. As in everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
I think technical issues are a very good subject. Technical things. And sometimes they're beyond your control. And sometimes you think that you'll stop your technical issues by upgrading things. And it makes the technical issues even worse when they're supposed to make them better. I've had a bunch of things like that this week. Technical issues.
Indeed, Slimmy, maybe you can tell us what we're going to talk about, because I believe upgrades, constant upgrades, are one of them.
Oh, definitely. That has been the foremost front of my mind this week about making me horrendously grumpy, is that I have finally, after quite a long time, and it is my own fault, I must admit, for hanging on for dear life, knowing that everything that I do as a musician works. Unfortunately, my computer got very full, and my external hard drive was full, so I thought, okay, time for a clean-up and an upgrade of some software and some things that I need. And I have spent one day, a whole day, upgrading stuff, cleaning everything out and thinking, great, it's like a brand new start, lovely, fresh, fast-working computer. And then I spent the last 4 days trying to rectify everything that didn't work, having done the upgrade on my fast, which is now a very slow computer because nothing's bloody working the way it should. And I'm horrified to say that it's going to cost me money, because I now have to go and buy new cables, because whatever I upgraded didn't work properly, and it was working perfectly before. The thing is once you've done an upgrade for certain software on your computer, you can't go back and use an old version, because it's completely wiped everything else. So no, it has been a week where is upgrading really a good thing when perhaps the software things that you use haven't the companies haven't caught up with that yet, so you're sort of left hanging in the balance. So
yeah, Foxy Wilder in the audience actually says, since when was an upgrade or something like that? Because I know they're called upgrades, but I frequently find, God bless Linden Labs and Microsoft, that something purporting to be an upgrade is actually seems more like a downgrade. It makes something go wrong, doesn't it? And
yes, it's a compatibility, isn't it, between things when they're supposed to be and they're not.
Yeah, Microsoft in particular seems to be very intrusive unless you go to the hard work of stopping their automatic upgrade installs. You wake up in the morning and you find, oh hell, they play havoc with my computer overnight.
This is why I do not upgrade. I never upgrade. I leave everything as it is because it works.
Well, the thing, I just restarted my computer just a little while ago and had updates from Microsoft, and we're just sitting here talking about Microsoft. Last week had the same thing. Every time I restarted my computer after an update, it crashed. I got blue screened. So I had to wipe that update out just to be able to get my computer to work the way it worked before the supposed update.
See why I don't update? I just let it go. Stop upgrading. Stop updating. They're not improvements. They're just more problems.
But it seems like that, doesn't it? And I was feeling really guilty because people would send me music files and I'd be sort of going, "You're using a too old version. You can't convert this." So I did. I went and upgraded Logic, and then I tried to pull a file in to work on that, and it says, "Oh no, you haven't got the latest version." And if I go and get the latest version, that's going to cost me, I don't know, X amount of hundreds of pounds to go and do it. So I'm thinking, why did I start on this thing to start off with? What I should do, actually, is just go and buy a new computer. So I have a computer with like all the stuff that works properly, and then I have a newer computer with the newer version, and then another computer with an even newer version, and then I'd never get stuck.
I always keep my old computers around when I get a new computer, but slowly, I keep thinking, there's always that period of time where I insist on using the old one because I know where everything is and it's my way. And slowly but surely they get retired, I guess. But
well, I mean, Foxy said it right. An update is not necessarily an upgrade, and there are times when if it's not broken, don't fix it. And unfortunately, a lot of these updates do exactly that. They break things.
Yeah. And at the time that she spent trying to fix the things that the update has broken, actually stretches from just, like maybe a couple of hours of fiddling about and changing settings and stuff into like days and days until, you've got a certain patch on the back of your head which is bald where you've been pulling your hair out over the whole thing.
Again, this is why I don't update.
Now, I don't like that because you're sounding all smug going, well, I don't update because I know everything works on your computer. Now I'm even more cross because not everything's working on mine properly.
Okay. Don't let him fool you because not everything works on his computer because last week was a technical week from hell for him. Every time we turned around to try to do a broadcast, something went wrong. And then earlier in the week, I had the same problem. My computer going down, my internet, my SAM still doesn't work. I mean, it's just insane.
If it's not SAM, it's virtuality cables. If it's not virtuality cables, it's SL. If it's not SL, it's Windows.
All three.
If it's not Windows, it's something else. Lord
I've had what I've concluded during the course of this week has made me rather grumpy the last couple of days is that it looks like my phone line is being cut for just a few microseconds every so often, but it's just long enough to disconnect all the ports I've got open. In Second Life's case, it forces me to log out and log in, and some other things refresh, other things I've got to quit them and reopen them to establish a connection. And, when I'm in Second Life, it is sometimes infuriating because something goes wrong, and I don't know whether it's Linden Lab software or whether it's Windows underneath, or whether it's my IP underneath, ISP underneath that, and whether it's the telephone line underneath that, It's like you're driving into, of course, if you approach any of these people, they'll shift the blame, Oh, it's not us, it's your equipment.
Exactly. They always do that. Linden Labs always blame, your video card's not up to date. And then you go to the video card company, your sound card's not up to date. What do you mean my sound card? What's my sound card? Everything to do with playing.
Yeah.
I know, but then how many phone calls is that? And usually, well, for those of us in Europe, particularly to Linden Labs, it's a call abroad. It's an international call. So you sit through automated system for 40 minutes, and then you get through to the person and say, oh, no, you come through to the wrong department, call this number.
Oh.
Along with the fact that when you get through to the department, it's not the right one. They're saying, exactly like that, It's not your video card, it's your sound card, or it's something else, or, there isn't a problem for that.
It's your internet connection. It's your BIOS. It's this. It's that. But no, it's never our software.
The chair that you sit in.
We're perfect. We got it.
So what's the worst experience you had with upgrades or downgrades, as they should probably be better called?
Say it again.
I think when the upgrades completely change how a piece of software works on your computer, these security updates and stuff. And because I'm a Mac user, so security updates, they just go and it does its thing. But when it's a whole new software, and it is like new viewers for Second Life, it's a whole new bloody thing to learn. And I don't want to learn anything new. I want it to work how it did before, how I know it works, with everything more or less in the same place, but just better. I don't need a new fancy interface. I just want it to do what it did in the first place. Look the same.
Can I have improvements instead of a complete overhaul? Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just leave it alone.
Well, don't deal with
Well,
Microsoft
even
if that's what
better.
you're looking for.
No, you can add new things in. That's very nice. But people do. They think everything needs changing completely. Not just a few very important things that they didn't get right the first time, but you're quite used to. That doesn't make sense, does it?
Someone keeps reminding me,
I
yes,
mean.
I updated Windows today because it was automatic. I didn't want to, but I was asleep and it did it on its own. So I have no control over that. Thank you, Icy. I appreciate that. For calling me.
Did anybody tell Icy that calling you out on air is my job?
Yeah, apparently. No one left with a memo.
So, guys, tell us about technical issues that you have since you've been using Second Life. Things that have really
I never
irritated
ran
you.
into technical issues until I started broadcasting for the SFL. That's
How long
when
is it, Joe?
everything was crazy.
I just need, before I can answer that question, I need to know how long the show is, because technical issues since I started using Second Life.
Well, if you disappear, we'll know that you're having technical issues.
The biggest thing, I think, being a DJ, I think the biggest thing is you have so much software running on your computer. You have so many things going at once. And you have so many things reliant on your internet connection, for example. Yeah. And so, number one, if you're DJing in a popular club, it's laggy because there's people there. Most of the time, the popular clubs are the ones that have been around for a long time, which means they're on the older servers, which means they're laggy. So not only do you have Second Life, which is, the viewer itself is laggy and buggy.
Sucking all your CPU up.
Exactly. Then you have the region that you're in, and then you have the 40 or 50 avatars that are around you that are just creating more and more problems. And now, to top everything else off, you have your streaming software, and most DJs in Second Life use SAM. That doesn't take up a lot of CPU power, but it does take up a lot of bandwidth to be able to upload the music. And then some jerk in the audience wants to hear a song that you don't have, so then you have to go download it, so there's another one. And X has never, ever once requested a song for me that I didn't have and had to download more than once. I used to use two computers. I used to run SL on one computer and stream on another one, and it does work, and it does work a little bit better. But the problem that you have is you're still running through the same internet pipeline.
Yeah. It is. We do demand quite a lot of our computers when we use Second Life as performers and DJs, but isn't it correct? Is that I think if we weren't entertainers and doing shows, that we probably wouldn't get so stressed about the technical issues. We just kind of relog. But the minute that you have something to do is when it always goes wrong. The minute that you committed to doing a show every week, or
right.
That's when your technical issues started. Whereas if we were just playing Second Life and not sort of I I don't know, just shopping or something, it would be
I'll
okay.
I'll give you the perfect example of that. I used to DJ at this one club, and they asked me to do one particular spot a week because it was a spot that they wanted to try to build up, and so they asked me to come in and put on shows for them. So it was the second or third one that I was doing, and 3 hours before that show, my computer died. I mean, just died.
Yeah.
Complete. And I had to run out. I was, it was right before Christmas, and I'm like, okay, so I went out and bought a new computer, and it took me, 2 hours to go out, get the new computer, get everything installed and everything, just to get up and get that show going. If I didn't have that show, I wouldn't have cared.
That's
Bizarre,
You
isn't it?
seriously went out and bought a new computer for a club?
Well, I needed a new computer anyway, so that's just the
Uh-huh.
excuse that I'm using.
Yeah, he's blaming them. Like, you owe me $1,200 right now.
No, the thing is the computer that I was using was like 5 or 6 years old at this point, and it died to the point where, you hit the power button, and all I got was a little orange blinking light, and I could not figure out what the problem was. So, it was like, hey, you know what? Best Buy is still open. So,
Wow.
and it was on sale because it was right before Christmas.
It's so true, isn't it? Is that if we weren't committed to doing the shows that we do, we probably wouldn't have that major panic. You think, oh, I'll hang on for a little bit and get a new computer.
But the funny thing is, even if he didn't have the show, I'm kind of one of those people too that even if my computer's died right now, I wouldn't even care anything about Second Life or my games or anything. It's just the fact of not having the internet would probably send me through some major withdrawals.
Yeah. Yeah,
I did that for
it's
5
like
weeks when I moved.
chopped off, isn't it? You've lost the link, the vital link.
Well, it was 20 years ago. It was if your TV broke, what do you do? And before that is if the radio went out, and now if we don't have our internet, we go absolutely insane.
Oh, I don't know, more
Absolutely.
insane.
I've gone without internet for, I think, up to 60 days, and yeah, that's not the most enjoyable time of your life when that's all you're used to.
Yeah, I think
I
you
had
just
that when I moved house earlier on last year, sorry, and it took them 5 weeks to put the internet cable in. So I was for 5 weeks without internet, and because I rely so heavily on it for so much stuff. It was absolutely awful. So I used my iPhone because that's what I had. So I did everything on 3G until I got the phone bill, and then I stopped.
I don't know if
Immediately.
you guys have ever seen the South Park episode, Jonas, with the about the internet going out.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it would be like. Everyone would just start, filing into one state or one place that had the internet just to use it for 5 minutes.
Well, it's funny, she brought up her iPhone and everything on 3G because it would be the same thing with cell phones. If all the cell towers went out in this area and they worked in one area, you would have just mass congregations of people standing there trying to make a phone call for absolutely no reason.
Exactly. just to be on air, online, connected.
There's something, actually this is something else that makes me really grumpy, is when the internet just goes down for a short while, let alone a long while. I think the longest I had was 12 hours. You talk to some people and they still don't understand how essential it is. They say, oh, what do you mean you can't do without it for 12 hours?
Are you like me and get that little short panic attack when your internet goes out? Like, oh my god, is it ever going to come back up? What happened?
Yeah.
Or you restart your computer and it doesn't connect to the internet right away, and you're like, okay, whoa, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Or you're watching something, you're in the middle of watching something, and it suddenly stops on the internet, so you refresh and you reboot and you clear cache and you run disk utility and you do the whole thing, and then you suddenly find out it wasn't you, it was the website. That's quite annoying.
I've done that plenty of times. It's instead of checking
and you're having
the
a panic,
website.
it's actually got nothing to do with you all the time.
Something that gets me too, that actually this is a completely separate grump, actually. It's about people in world here who really don't think about things before they prepare them. People who spam every channel under the sun to get people to their gig, their event, whatever it is. and they're only on one SIM, maybe even it's a homestead or something, and their publicity works, the whole bloody world turns up, and of course, except for the lucky few at the beginning, nobody can get in. And I keep thinking, well, why? Why hold these events if you can't cope with the...
I'll tell you right now, if anyone on my list decides to mass TP me, they don't survive the list very long.
Yeah. That's...
So that's all I gotta do to get rid of you as a friend is just mass TP you?
Absolutely. Just go ahead and start it up, and you will be removed really quickly.
There's people you wish that had really bad internet problems so that they couldn't log in to spam you. I think the worst thing about not being online, though, is it's not about not being online. It's that horrible groan, because when you do get back online, if there's a technical issue and you can't get on, is that when you download your email, there's going to be 10,000 spam emails arriving that you've then got to trawl through to find all the ones that you need to read.
Yeah,
that's quite depressing.
It's the catch-up feeling, isn't it? Because everything's accumulating while you're away, and you're thinking, "Oh God, how big is that?"
I don't want to press send and receive on my email because I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely fatal.
So when we're talking, let's talk about emails and spam emails. Why have they increased? Because I have to say that even and I'm not offline at the moment, luckily, but when I collect my email in the morning, overnight, the spammers are out in force. And I download my emails in the mornings, and there's something about 50 or 60. And does anybody ever read them? Does anybody ever click on, get paid to text people, buy Viagra? Hello, I'm Sally, I'm looking for a man. Why are you emailing me?
Maybe they know something we don't. I don't know.
No, it's complete madness.
They know something about her that she doesn't know is what you're trying to say?
There must be some very thick people who are being employed to just press the send.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of those spam emails are actually automated through websites. Once you input your email, even through Facebook, there's bots that come in and siphon out your email and adds it to a list, and that's not just one list they add you to. They add you to about 300 lists, and you end up getting 2,000 emails. So you really got to protect your email when you're putting it out, that information on the web, because they just steal everything that you have, and they will.
I'm a Mac user, and I've got several here. New update to fix Windows. Well, I don't bloody use Windows, but I've got 30 emails telling me I've got a file error notification. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really annoys me is I've got, only on one machine have I got a PayPal account. And very occasionally I get an email from them, but on my other machines, on my other accounts, I keep getting notifications about my PayPal account.
Yeah.
Which I have, they're different identities, and the worst thing is I'm really sure a lot of people who don't know this stuff must press on them, and get caught by hoax sites that are just purporting to be BT or purporting to be.
I've known plenty of people to get tricked into phishing sites and scam sites all the time.
Well, and the thing is they're getting more and more sophisticated. An old friend of mine almost got stuck. It was a bank, and she got an email from a bank, and it was her bank, and they said that her bank account had been compromised, and go to this website and log into your online bank account and change your information and all this other stuff. And it was a phishing email, and the website that they had created looked exactly like this bank's website. I mean, almost exactly. The only way that you could tell was, and they had the URL mask, but if you know how to look, you can see that it really wasn't that bank's URL. But she came very close to putting her personal bank information on this site. It's just because the techniques for fooling people are getting more and more sophisticated.
Yeah. You can usually tell, but the ones from bank. I mean, I never reply to if I see anything from a bank, even if it's my own bank, I ignore it. I phone them.
I got something the other day, and I'd actually put it out of my mind, but I was really disturbed by it when I got it, actually. And I just concluded spam, and but it was a threatening letter. It was making them out to be so I think it was signed PLO or something, and it said a contract had been put out on me because I'd upset somebody, but but it didn't say who.
You gotta stop pissing people off, man.
But it's not doing grumpy old avatars.
Yeah, quite possibly. But they then said, but I know you, and I've been investigating you, and it seems, like your friend or something. And then it wanted to try to get me to click on something to discuss the matter. And yeah, it was just weird. It's totally weird.
And that was a spam thing. That's really scary.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't reasonable English. And I mean, one of the lovely things about some spam is it's in such bad English, for a minute that it's not serious, But this was actually written in pretty intelligent, if somewhat scary English.
Well, how many people from the PLO can speak English properly?
I have no idea where this goes.
That might lend credence to the fact that you have been threatened by the PLO and there's a contract out for you and you should probably hide.
Immediately.
Okay, well, I'll see you all later, folks.
And that's a wrap.
And that's the show. Way to go, Yaddles.
Well, now we know why Mal's voice cuts out now and again. Then his Skype's being tapped.
Maybe these people have been tapping my BT line and not realising that every time they tap it, it breaks the connection.
Yeah.
He doesn't care that they're listening. He doesn't care that they're listening in. He cares that they're screwing up his bandwidth.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care who's snooping on me, so long as they don't fuck with my bandwidth.
Exactly. Bandwidth is precious.
Yeah.
It's amazing when we've been talking about these things, technical issues and, even things like spams, how much we deal with, on a weekly basis, the sorting out of spam. Yeah, we all have junk mail folders and stuff like that, but, we're dealing with technical issues. It's quite amazing that we still do what we do regardless of all these irritations. Why is that?
Yeah. I get fairly ambivalent about the sort of privacy and the spying sort of thing, because I think it's a bit like searching for a needle in a haystack. I mean, I know we have all these robots and advanced logarithms and search mechanisms, everything, but, there's just such a huge amount of data floating around. I really don't care less what I put where and when. I just get pissed off if, like, an upgrade doesn't work, or, a service provider doesn't do what they say they're doing and messes you around. But I'm pretty ambivalent about the privacy and spying thing there.
And because you don't care, you will continue to get spam.
Yeah. I treat most of my email as spam, to be honest, whether it is or not. I mean, I stopped using email seriously a few years ago. I just moved to IM. And
so basically, what Mal just said: if you've emailed him and he hasn't answered you, he's ignoring you.
Something like that.
That's exactly what he just said.
I see all the headers, and I scan the email, but yeah, I don't. A lot of it's news and stuff coming in, but I don't. I don't totally ignore it, but I'll see something important, but I can't be bothered with it. It's quicker than I am somebody. And I love I have a script in my email that says, if the subject line reads no subject, put it in the spam folder. And therefore that person never gets to me again because they forgot to put a line on it. And so people say, why didn't you get my email? I said, well, but what was the subject? And he said, subject? Oh, well, that's why.
How do you educate emailers?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's the whole
lessons on how to send an email. I hate using email because it's so slow.
It is.
I love Skype though. Yeah. Skype is quick and fast, and and you get to
I was about to say, I don't think I've received a personal email in years.
Why?
We can remedy that. We'll get Mal to email you.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
He could forward
really.
that one from the PLO on.
And then you get some.
I actually met somebody in real life who I have to deal with, regarding property and stuff like that. It was a couple of years ago now, and they said sort of, what's your preferred method of communication? I said, well, email, of course. And they said, well, sort of, how long would you normally wait for an email reply? And I said, 5 minutes. And they just fainted. They fainted, because even though they accepted that email existed as a form of communication, conceptually they thought of it like the post. Well, a day or two or a week later is fine. And I said, anything over an hour is bad news. This was when I was using email. Well, God knows where those people are now. I've moved on.
Remind me never to email Mal.
Yeah, for real. I'll never get a response.
Well, you leave the.
I will in like 2 minutes. I'm like,
or through whatever channel, and it's amazing though. I scan for I don't see many incoming Twitters, but I see anything that A mentions me or anything that B is actually got a DM, a direct message to me. And the same with Sky, because all these things come in instantly, so there's no hanging around. And also, when you see them come in, the person is there. On the other hand, to get back to them, the same in Second Life. If somebody IMs me, I know they're in world somewhere, so I can get back to them immediately.
Well, with all the technology we have, email, Skype, phone, what is the point of email anymore? Why do we use it?
Well, email's the new snail mail.
Well, it is. I was just about to say, if you think, how has our communication changed over the last few years? And I mean, when was the last time you sat down and wrote a letter with a pen and paper?
A what?
When I was 5.
School?
But seriously, how many people? I mean, I know obviously a lot of people still do that. Horribly, my bank, which seems to do a lot of letter writing, but not with a pen. But our methods of communication have changed, and I can't remember the last time I sat down and wrote a letter. I do send birthday cards and Christmas cards and things, but they're handwritten. But even then, I'm a little lazy, and I tend to use something online if I know that these people are going to collect their email. So you won't be getting one, Mal, because I know you don't open your email now. So
the funny thing is, you bring up writing.
I thought it was from you.
I had to go to a job interview a couple months ago, and I had to give a handwriting sample for the FBI. And they said, okay, this side you write in, what do they call it, regular writing, and this one you write in cursive. And I said, all right, cool. So I get to the cursive part, and I go, oh, what? You have to write cursive.
Unless it's one of those multiple choice tick boxes, it's quite hard to write now when we're also used to typing on a keyboard.
Right? I'm like, can I get a computer and I'll put in the
I do actually have a pile of dead tree samples outside of my desk here, and I'd still do actually, jokingly, use a pen to scribble things down. But believe it or not, and this long predates the internet, I think, I'm like comic book lettering. It's all capitals. I can't do that old. It's what you called the curvaceous thing or something.
Joined up writing, you mean?
Yeah. All I can do is my signature is totally illegible. It could be anything. It's the only thing with curves in it. Everything else is block letter capitals. It just lose the habit, I think. Yeah.
But it's very hard, and I used to when I was a little girl. I had to write letters because obviously I didn't have a computer then, so I did have to write letters, and I always found it a very tedious process, having to write. But you got into the habit of it and stuff like that. And now, having to write a letter, I look at the state of my handwriting, and it's appalling because I so rarely write, anything more than a sentence down, unless it's a shopping list.
It's the same as mine. It's just totally legible.
I don't even write shopping lists down. I print it out on the computer.
And I don't. I know. I so desperate. I order it online, and I haven't got to type anything. I've got to write all.
I mean, at this point,
shopping
someone
this just
wrote
a little
it
while ago and couldn't read her own handwriting.
Oh, actually, this is another thing I've just thought of. Seriously, how many of you got computers attached to your computer? So printers attached to your computer?
I got a networked one.
Oh yeah, I have.
Because I've got 3, and none of them are attached. And they use dead trees. I mean, I haven't even used a printer for donkey's years. I mean, I save things as PDFs, and I shovel PDFs around. I just don't see the purpose of a printer.
Oh, somebody laughed at me the other day because I said I wanted a fax machine. They were like, "What do you want a fax machine? Nobody uses faxes anymore."
Well, actually, you just put fax software on your computer and then send a fax from your computer over the phone line. And
I remember when your computer used to come equipped with a modem and fax modem, so that you could fax.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
You remember when 33.6 was fast, and when 56K came out, it was like, whoa!
We're blazing that 56K.
Woo! 56K modem. Woo!
Well, actually, there's something else I've noticed. I'm going to go back to where we almost started. We were talking about upgrades. Have you noticed how slow Microsoft updates are? They insist on downloading them, but if you actually look at the speed they come down at, it's almost as though they're using 56K modems. You don't have the fastest speed under the sun, but Microsoft's upgrade trickles down.
For real.
On a Mac, I don't have to do updates like that, but I know I've used enough that have gone on slowly. But I like how the conversation's gone this evening, looking at how we communicate and how we change things. And most of us seem to be very comfortable now with talking or doing the short Twitter thing. Actually, no, the Twitter thing's quite annoying because you can only keep it at a certain length, which is even more annoying. And the fact that, using a pen and paper is becoming quite obsolete.
I don't even think I have paper in this house, to be honest with you. If I have to take notes for like a football game that we do or something like that, I'm scrambling looking for something to write with.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier, but...
Or finding a pen that even works. I mean, there's lots of pens. I've got children, so my kids have got lots of pens and crayons and stuff. But when I need to write something down, can I find one that works? No. I could sit here with 10 pens, biros, and every single one, it doesn't work. So I end up trying to scribble whatever I'm doing with a big fat Crayola.
I get so much flack for this because I've got these sort of tins, like biscuit tinny things, but low and full of pens, and they've been like that for 3 years, and they've all dried up, And if I have a new one, I pull one out, doesn't work, another one, and they never get thrown out. They just get put aside. And when they're in the way, they get put back in the tin.
Or trying to find a piece of paper and you can't find anything, and you're on the phone and you're in a hurry. So you end up writing on the back of an envelope or, on the back of a receipt, which you then go and put somewhere, and then you can't find it again. Whereas if you do everything on the computer, it's all there. It stays there.
Do you know, actually, talking as with Dean, I suddenly realised, actually, maybe some of you would agree with me, but I think there's something about the net, and especially virtual worlds and all this stuff we're talking about. I think I've actually become just very impatient, I just feel like I live in a world where, I want an answer now, I want it done now, I don't want anything that slows me down.
That's just a personality thing, then.
No, well,
not at all.
With the way technology is now and how fast we receive information, especially because of the internet, through RSS feeds, or you got your news group and it goes right to your email and it goes to your phone, because you're out or something. Information comes in so fast that even when you're in IMs with somebody and they take longer than 15 seconds to respond to you, you're like, really, why are you taking so long?
Yeah. It's amazing how our brains can cope with it all, really. And then we have discussed this a bit before, it's actually the sheer amount of information that we process on a daily basis. Yes, with the emails, the phone calls, the writing, the the technological advances that we've got, you know, our brains are working much, much harder in a way because you've got to process it all and deal with it.
Yeah, and we've adapted to the method, you know, so that, you know, we can cope with it more immediately if we don't waste our time slowing down. It's interesting, a few years ago, and I can't, believe it or not, I can't remember what the darn thing was called, but it was, I think it was around 97 or 98. Some guys in Europe launched a printed monthly magazine about Second Life, you know, like you have gamer magazines and stuff. It was totally devoted to Second Life. And I remember the first issue because the headline was something along the lines of welcome, and then in big headlines, Homo Avaturus, as opposed to Homo sapien. And, you know, I wonder if it didn't actually state things quite well. You know, you get so much into the rhythm of inhabiting, you know, your avatar or your online personality that you know, it renders some aspects of the old ways of doing things meaningless. But I'm getting deep there. I better shut up.
A little too deep for us, man. A little too much. Starting to lose us.
That was a great headline. Homo Avaturus.
and I mean, and one thing that we forgot to mention was texting on phones, because we never used to be able to do that either. So not only are we dealing with email and Skype and all of the other things, but we're also texting.
Does anybody even talk on their phone anymore?
I say when I have to ask Jonas if he's actually going to make the game, it's through text. I don't call him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's
actually, I have a confession to make, and that is I do not text. I can't text. I can't cope with those fiddly little keyboards and things.
I thought you were about to say you were going to call the 900 numbers or something.
he has to call them because he can't text them.
But phones are less about phoning now, aren't they? Phones are now, well, certainly the smartphone. Phones are for playing games on, looking at maps, playing more games, texting a bit, and using it as an alarm clock.
I would say, yeah, I think Cheyenne's heard me a few times broadcast on SL and talk on Skype to Jonas and text at the same time.
Oh yeah, we do it all the time. We've got IMs going with people that are, you know, associated with the SFL. We're IMing each other. We've got our Skype call going. We're trying to comment the game. We're on our Facebook group page, and our phone's going all at the same time.
Do you know, I've hosted a show from my iPhone into Second Life.
Oh my lord.
Which was quite cool.
That was an achievement for sure.
It was. It was the first time I've done that. I actually hosted a whole show from my iPhone.
Home phone? Who has a home phone anymore?
I'd say I don't even have one of those. I didn't know
I haven't
existed
had one
anymore.
of those in 10 years.
They won't let me get rid of my home phone because it's the same line that connects.
Oh, it's connected with your internet.
But do you have an actual phone connected to it, or just the line for your internet?
No, it's a phone line and it's ASDL still, so they converted to broadband. I never actually used the phone, but I have to pay for it anyway, just to rent the line to then convert to broadband. Madness, but that's BT.
But it's kind of bizarre, isn't it? Is that don't you find, because we get our communications through different ways, is that when the phone rings, you're like, oh, for God's sake, somebody's phoning.
Why didn't you just text me?
But you know what's worse than that?
Fail me.
Is what, 10 years ago when someone used to call you, it used to kick you off the internet. Remember that?
Or they call it, they get a busy signal because you had. Because remember, you could do that little macro in the settings on your modem where you could shut your call waiting off.
Oh yeah.
So if you were online, people would continually get a busy signal.
And also, talking of dial-up connections, dialing up to a modem and getting the number wrong and actually ringing somebody's landline number, and all they get is screeching noise of data.
It's like dialing a fax machine, isn't it? You just get the whizzy sound at the end.
Oh dear. Okay, well, believe it or not, we've been talking for 45 minutes. So something we'd like to do near the end of the show is actually throw out all the stuff we've been talking about, as it were, and then go to our guests independently and sort of get their thoughts on what you've been feeling about, grumpy about in the last week or two, or months, or years, or centuries, whatever. So let me start with Janos. Is there anything that's been on your mind of late that you are particularly grumpy about? It could be real world, virtual world, even the...
You mean something other than Xavier?
Since it's here to answer you, I'll give you permission to mention names.
Well, he is. He's standing right next to me. No, that's honestly, it's funny because the subject that we picked today is perfect, because that has what has been on my nerves for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, and Axel will, he'll even back up on this one. It's been 2 weeks of nothing but computer problems and technology problems, from internet to computer to, the computer itself to software to just every possible technology mishap you can imagine I've had in the last 2 weeks. So this was actually the perfect subject to talk about today.
I don't really follow the SFL and the football stuff, I have to admit, and I'm in the UK, in case you haven't gathered. But I did do so with some of your broadcasts recently. And I got really hysterically funny, because you have this reference to the American game, I think, like something like you're having a 3-minute timeout, or it's a 3 minute to go, and we'd be sitting there and like 30 minutes would go by, and I was saying, this is the longest 3 minutes I've ever known.
Oh yeah, American football is terrible for timing.
Terminology.
The last 2 minutes of an American football game can last an hour.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, you got 3 timeouts per team at 5 minutes apiece, I think it is. Plus, on top of that, all the breaks in between the plays, and
the TV timeouts, and you get an injury in there, and it's just all over with.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I know the first show we did. I was on. I was listening to the audio and trying to count down the program, and then somebody said 2 minutes, and I was like, "Woot! We're off in 2 minutes."
Yeah, unfortunately, football doesn't work like the UK football or Europe football. With the soccer, where 2 minutes is 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yeah, Foster just said American minutes are longer than anybody else.
Well, I mean, if with the SFL, 2 minutes is half of one of our games, but that's going to last an hour.
Oh, yeah. Minimum.
It's just the way that it works. That's an hour. So if you're listening to one of our broadcasts and we say there's 2 minutes left, grab a beer or whatever it is you want and sit out, because it's going to be a long 2 minutes.
Speaking of which, we have a game to get to here in a couple hours.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's another thing I'll be about.
Well, I didn't know about this maybe. You have to enlighten me.
Read your IMs there.
Okay, Xavier, let me turn to you. What's been bugging you? Don't say the same things. What's been bugging you the last few days or week or whatever?
Well, if you want to really get to know me a little bit better the last few days, I'll tell you what, people have been bothering me so bad.
Just the last couple days?
Oh, just the last couple days. You think you know somebody, and then they just kind of turn things around and make everything your fault for some reason, and I don't know why, when clearly it's theirs, and friendships get lost, and people decide they don't want to be your friend no more, and it's just like, y'all can go away, I'm done.
Is this in Second Life?
This is Second Life.
Yeah. There's too much drama in Second Life, isn't there?
Well, you know what the funny thing is like if you take a real life friendship or relationship, the thing is you don't spend 10 hours a day with this person. You only spend an hour a week. You go out and do something one day, and then you don't do anything until the next week. Where SL, you're constantly around so many people and for so long that you cram in like a year's worth of spending time with this person in the matter of 2 days.
Sure. Yeah. And it's like a family member who gets on your nerves. It builds and builds.
Absolutely, I got plenty of that.
Yeah, well, now as strangers folks, as the expression goes as well. Okay, Slimmy, anything else on your mind before we get to the techies?
Well, I think the other thing that's made me a bit grumpy this week, because it seems to happen a lot, is when you're driving and you're driving quite long. You know, you've got a really long drive ahead of you, and about a quarter of the way into the drive, your foot starts itching, and you can't scratch it because you've got boots on, and it's so bloody annoying that you can't, and you're trying to scratch it with the other foot, and you're trying to drive at the same time, especially if you're on the motorway, and the itch, and it's always just under the arch of your foot, isn't it? And you can't scratch it. So you're busy trying to drive and undo your boot and scratch all at the same time, and it all just goes, yeah, it really irritates me.
Actually.
I'm guessing
don't get on the road with Slim.
This has happened just in the last 12 hours.
Yeah, the unredeemable itch is an awful thing.
Well, no, what's even worse than that is when you finally do get your shoe or whatever off, and you get to itching it, and you're like, all right, cool, I'm good, and you get to going, and it itches again.
Yeah, on the other foot. It itches on the other foot, doesn't it? Yeah, it's just typical. Anyway, if you would like to follow us on Twitter, please do so at Grumpy Old Avatar, and we will keep you up to date with each week's show. You can follow our blog at blogspot.com, Grumpy Old Avatars. And, of course, you can watch the replays and all the other shows at metaversetv.com.
Oh, wonderful, Slimmy. I wasn't quite ready to fully round up yet, but that is wonderful. So, yes, do that, folks. And we're here every week, of course. Yeah, I was just, apart from this grump about the ISP switching itself off momentarily for a long while, I've got a grump about the weather. Now, I'm a Brit, so we always talk about the weather, but something very strange seems to be going on. And it's pissing me off no end. This time last week, I was basking in the heat of a very early summer. Spring didn't seem to come. We just went from winter to summer, and it was wonderful. All the heaters went off, sun was pouring in, windows were open, everything else. And now suddenly, it's gone back to being cold and miserable again. But not only that, my colleague Tara Yates, who's over in the Pacific Northwest, as opposed to in London, woke up, well, it was yesterday, and woke up again today to find that snow had been falling.
You're joking? Snow?
Yeah,
I heard about that.
Yeah, and I noticed that Xavier and Jonas were actually talking in the back chat before we came on air, and I'm not sure where you guys are, but I gather one of you had it cold and one of you had it warm. It seems to me the weather gods are playing havoc at the moment, and they're displeasing me no end.
Well, you know what? At least you get weather. I don't get weather. I get one setting, and that is it, and it's called hot. That's all we get here.
Dude.
Winter, 80 degrees. Summer,
Dude,
120. That's
you
all I
live in a desert.
I'm drooling already.
Okay, I mean, what do you expect? Do you ever watch old cowboy movies? It's hot.
I've been to Arizona, but it's a long while ago.
Yeah, that's exactly where I live.
It's a great place, yeah.
It is a great place, but it's hot every day.
Well, I was there around Christmas time, midwinter, and I was wandering around in a t-shirt thinking this was glorious.
Yeah, you can wear
summer.
t-shirts.
And all the locals, of course, had more layers on than me. They thought it was cold.
But X, it's a dry heat.
Yeah.
You know, don't even start with the dry heat.
I know, dude, I know. I've spent plenty of time in Arizona, and 120 is 120. It don't make any difference.
You still sweat as much as 100 degrees and humidity. It doesn't matter. You still sweat.
Well, last week it was in the 70s and the 80s here, and today it's 40 and windy and rainy. So it's the same. I guess we have the same weather pattern as England is getting right now. It was beautiful last week, and this week it's miserable. So
who knows? Well, I'll go for dry heat rather than humidity any day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
I just like warmth. It would be nice.
Yes, exactly.
Shut up.
Other than black it. The fur coats. Okay, folks. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. We're almost out of time. We're actually a wee bit early today, but I'm not complaining. So thanks, everybody, for being here. I'd like to thank in particular wonderful guests, Jonas Winterwolf. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And Xavier Ruska.
Anytime. You guys let us know if you need us back.
Okay, we will do. It's been a pleasure having you here. And of course, many thanks to my co-host Slim Warrior.
Oh, so welcome.
Welcome. Oh, she's woken up now. We can start the show, can we? And our congratulations to Dooza, who unfortunately couldn't be here because airport's called or something. But we will be back, hopefully with Dooza again, this time next week. So thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you then.